Welcome to Hidden Business Risk. I'm Dan Butler. Today, we're digging into a surprisingly common blind spot, shadow subcontracting. When the contractor you hired quietly farms your work out to someone else, and you only notice when something breaks. Picture this. A mid-market marketing agency misses a launch date because the editor doing the final assets turned out to be overseas and had no NDA or insurance. The client blames the agency. The agency points to their vendor. The vendor points to another vendor. Meanwhile, the revenue hit and the reputational damage, that's on the original hiring company. That's our hook. What looks like flexibility can create layered risk. I'm joined by Jessica Mays, our business attorney, and Eddie Klein, who runs an IT services firm and sees subcontract chains all the time. Jessica, Eddie, glad you're here.
Thanks, Dan. That story already makes me want to ask for paperwork. Speaking earnestly, these are the cases I see in my practice. Contracts that say contractor, but not who actually does the work. And suddenly there's a legal paper trail that drifts away. Clients are exposed. IP ownership gets fuzzy, compliance obligations disappear down the chain, and insurance often doesn't follow. We'll walk through fixes that preserve relationships but make things transparent.
I appreciate the intro. From the tech side, it's usually not malicious. It's speed and margin. A small shop needs an editor or QA resource. They subcontract to hit deadlines, and nobody updates access controls or checklists. So you get unknown accounts in your repo, metadata that points to someone you've never met, and billing that never quite reconciles. Those are the signals we'll talk about spotting quickly.
Great. First, let's define shadow subcontracting and the common failure modes. Jessica, in plain English, what's the legal framing? What actually breaks when subcontracting chains are opaque?
In practical terms, shadow subcontracting happens when the party named in the SOW isn't the party doing the work, or when work passes through multiple, unvetted hands without flow-down protections. The common failures are IP drift, ownership clauses get diluted, uninsured labor, someone doing billable work isn't covered by the contractor's policy, data exposure, client data goes to an unknown person, and evidence gaps. If something breaks, there's no clear trail to show who did what and when.
And operationally, it shows up as deliverable inconsistency, unexplained quality drops, and access anomalies. You might see file metadata that shows a different editor or a Git commit from an unfamiliar email address. Those are low-friction signals that something's been passed along without your knowledge.
Let's look at it from revenue. Quick, how do these chains leak money? I'll start. Rework, refunds, missed milestones, and ultimately, client churn. I measure it by tracking 3 things: rework hours allocated, invoice disputes per project, and client satisfaction drop after third-party involvement. Jessica, is there a legal cost angle that shows up in dollars as well?
Absolutely. Legal exposure translates into direct and indirect costs. Indemnity claims if a subcontractor infringes IP, regulatory fines if data is mishandled, and legal fees to untangle who's responsible. Those costs are often magnified because the hiring party is the visible counterparty to the client, so they get pulled into dispute resolution even if the subcontractor was at fault.
Eddie, from your profit and loss lens, what metrics should ops and revenue teams watch to flag shadow subcontracting before it becomes a crisis?
3 practical metrics. 1, unexplained variance in estimated versus actual hours for tasks that should be stable. 2, access or user anomalies, new emails, IP addresses, or repo users not in your vendor roster. And 3, frequency of third-party credentials or shared drives used in delivery. If any of those tick up, that's a red flag to ask one simple question: who actually did this piece of work?
Nice. Now let's pivot to legal levers. Jessica, walk us through the contract language and negotiation posture that helps without turning every vendor call into an inquisition. Give us high-signal clauses we can apply fast.
Start with transparency, not prohibition. A helpful clause is a simple disclosure requirement. Require the contractor to disclose subcontractors who will materially perform work on the engagement, with contact and scope. Add flow-down obligations so that essential responsibilities, confidentiality, IP assignment, data handling standards, and required insurance must also apply to those subcontractors. Insert a right to audit or verification trigger tied to material deliverables or client complaint thresholds. Finally, use approval triggers for high-risk functions. For example, any subcontractor with access to client PII requires prior written approval. Keep the language concise and make it a collaborative checkbox rather than a punitive hurdle.
Can you give one plain English negotiation script that firms can use when asking a contractor about their subcontracting practices? Something that keeps the relationship intact.
Sure. Try, "We love working with you and want to understand how delivery will be structured. For our compliance and client records, can you tell us which individuals or firms will perform the work and confirm they will accept our confidentiality and IP terms? If anything changes, please let us know in writing and provide an attestation that those parties meet the same insurance and privacy standards." That frames it as due diligence, not distrust.
I'd add a quick operational attestation. Ask for a one-paragraph statement attached to each milestone. Who did the work, where it was performed, and that the deliverable was reviewed and signed off. That alone solves 60% of the traceback problem without heavy audits.
Let's move to verification. Eddie, walk us through lightweight checks a small business can implement tomorrow without hiring auditors. I want pragmatic steps that actually get done.
Start with a 3-question provenance check for any material deliverable. 1, who created the deliverable? 2, what accounts or emails were used? 3, did the author sign an attestation confirming the work in compliance with the SOW? Operationally, add 2 tech flags. Check file metadata and archive commit history for digital products, and reconcile billed hours against named resources on invoices. For tiny teams, use phased proof of work, a short paid trial deliverable signed off before full engagement. These are low friction and high signal.
I love the phased proof of work idea. It's a small cost that can save a large headache. Okay, we've covered discovery, contracts, verification. Now let's triage. Which fixes do you prioritize based on money at risk, client sensitivity, and how replaceable the vendor is? Jessica, start us off.
Prioritize by client impact and legal exposure. If work touches client PII or regulated data, require immediate flow-down obligations and approval triggers. For high-revenue accounts, require disclosure and attestations. For low-dollar, highly replaceable engagements, rely on operational checks like the provenance questions and a 1-paragraph attestation. The goal is proportionality. Don't over-control where the money at stake is minimal.
From an operations view, prioritize based on how visible the deliverable is to the client. Client-facing deliverables get stricter checks. Back-end support work, like one-off configuration scripts, can use attestation and spot checking. And always add a reconciliation layer for billing. If invoices show line items that don't match named resources, follow up.
Okay, time for our 30-day subcontract audit playbook. We're going to be prescriptive, week-by-week actions any leader can run. I'll outline the weeks, then Jessica and Eddie will fill in scripts and templates. Week 1, discovery. Who are your active contractors and which clients/projects are exposed? Week 2, outreach. Send the transparency script and gather attestations. Week 3, verification. Spot check deliverables and metadata. Week 4, remediation. Apply SOW addendums or require phased proofs and flag contracts for legal review. Jessica, any tweaks to that flow?
That's solid. For Week 2 outreach, use an email that's short and collaborative. We're doing a quick delivery review to ensure continuity for our clients. Please list any subcontractors who will materially perform work, confirm they accept our standard confidentiality and IP terms, and attach any necessary attestations. Include a friendly deadline, 7 business days, and provide the SOW addendum as a fillable attachment so you reduce friction.
On verification week, give ops a 1-page checklist. Check file metadata for author names and timestamps, confirm commit emails against your vendor roster, reconcile billed hours to named resources, and ask for a signed attestation for each milestone. Keep it to 5 checks, high signal, low effort.
And on remediation, prioritize lightweight interventions first. Require the SOW addendum, a proof of work phase, or require vendor insurance proof. Reserve termination or escalation for repeated non-disclosure or material breaches. Jessica, short legal language for the SOW addendum we can slip into existing agreements?
Yes. Keep it simple. 1. Disclosure. Identify subcontractors who will materially perform work. 2. Flow down. Key obligations apply to subcontractors: confidentiality, IP assignment, data handling. 3. Attestation. Contractor will provide a signed attestation with each milestone confirming compliance. 4. Audit. Client may request verification within specified thresholds. Add an option for written approval for subcontractors with access to sensitive data. Note, this is triage language. Have counsel review for larger or regulated arrangements.
Great. Now let's test the playbook with 3 rapid scenarios and say out loud what we do. Scenario 1. A marketing contractor says they use offshore editors for copy and design. How do we respond quickly? Eddie?
Ask the 3 provenance questions immediately. Request the editor's name and whether they signed an NDA, and ask for a sample attestation for a recent deliverable. If the editor needs access to client data, require written approval and proof of equivalent privacy measures. If that seems heavy, at minimum require a phased proof of work for the next deliverable.
And add this negotiation line. We're fine with offshore resources, but need confirmation they accept our confidentiality and IP terms. Please attach their signed attestation, or let us know if you prefer to run a short proof of work instead. That keeps it collaborative and gives them options.
Scenario 2. A dev shop quietly sends QA offshore, and a bug makes it into production. Client hits your desk. What triage steps get you out of crisis mode? Jessica, Eddie, quick hits.
First, preserve evidence. Collect the deliverable, the identified authors, and any attestations. Then, check contractual flowdown and insurance. If the bug caused client damage, notify your carrier and counsel. If the contract included flowdown that wasn't followed, that's leverage for remediation.
From ops, isolate the code, roll back if safe, and perform a commit history audit to see who introduced the change. That gives you fast answers about provenance and helps you decide if the fix is internal or needs vendor remediation. Then reconcile time billed to the named QA resource. Mismatches are telling.
Scenario 3. An agency reassigns the named account lead mid-project without telling you. Delivery slips. What's the play? Jessica?
Require notification clauses for key personnel changes in the SOW for client-facing roles. For immediate recovery, ask for a transition attestation and a point of contact who oversees quality until the new lead is onboarded. That gives you contractual grounding to request remediation if the change caused harm.
Also check handoff artifacts, meeting notes, deliverable checklists, access transfers. Often the quality drop isn't about competence, it's about missing context. A short checklist can bridge that gap quickly.
We promised a subcontracting safety kit. Quick reminder of what's inside. A discovery checklist, a 1-paragraph SOW addendum template, 3 outreach scripts, discovery, attestation request, and remediation, and a 1-page audit template. Go to hiddenbusinessrisk.com/subcontractkit to download it and submit an anonymized SOW if you want a future panel review. That's the only CTA we'll give you today.
Before we finish, a quick safety note. Use these templates as conservative opt-in tools. For material or regulated engagements, have counsel review the final language. Our templates are triage guidance, not bespoke legal counsel.
And remember, keep checks low friction. Ask 3 provenance questions, require a short attestation, or run a phased proof of work. Those small steps protect clients and keep vendors in the loop without killing velocity.
All right, recap in 60 seconds. Shadow subcontracting leaks cost and liability through unknown hands. Detect it with simple signals: variance in hours, access anomalies, file metadata. Mitigate it with transparency clauses, flow-down obligations, 1-paragraph attestations, and low-friction verification. Use the 30-day audit if you suspect exposure. And again, the subcontracting safety kit is at hiddenbusinessrisk.com/subcontractkit. Jessica, Eddie, thanks for practical clarity today.
Thanks, Dan. Take these ideas as collaborative tools. Ask, verify, and remediate with the least frictive approach possible.
Thanks. A few small checks now can save a lot of trouble later. Make them routine.